It looks like the last stand for PlayStation and Xbox is on the way. Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably going to be the last major release that PlayStation and Xbox ever receive.
Yeah, no, for sure. The game coming out, what, next year or the year after? I mean, Take-Two already confirmed. I mean, in case you missed it, apparently now I'm a GTA news channel. But apparently the Take-Two Interactive CEO let it slip that this game is scheduled for fiscal year 2025. So definitely not the last major release of the two consoles, right? Like, I don't feel like I have to explain this, but it's you, so I will. Xbox, I know, has a long lineup of games in the works. Sony surely has a long lineup of games in the works. They have Wolverine. They have Ghost of Tsushima 2, I think. To say that a game coming out in September 2025 at the latest is the final major release of the Xbox and the PlayStation, oh my golly gosh, we're off to such an amazing start.
Right, this is going to be the last game that really drives console sales. This is going to be the last game that gets really people fired up about buying this console, this brand, this identity.
I mean, I hope you're not buying a console as an identity. That's just weird. But also, like, yeah, the later you get into a console generation, the less like big console selling games there's gonna be. That's not strange, but continue.
This is going to be the thing that gets a lot of people to buy PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's, but it is going to be the last, right?
No, not right.
I do think this is going to be the title that really diminishes Rockstar's star, so to speak.
How fucking long were you looking in the mirror trying to come up with that? You know, it's the last game to come up with Rockstar's zest. No. The last game for Rockstar's shine. No. Rockstar's star. Yeah, that's the fucking one. That'll do it. That'll get them.
This is going to be the title that kind of establishes that they aren't what they used to be, that they can't put out games that appeal to their audience anymore, and that they just simply can't compete with what other open world games are doing.
Have you ever considered that maybe Rockstar doesn't put out as many open world games because they don't have to? And like, look, I've made it no secret, I'm not a huge fan of Rockstar. GTA 5 wasn't really my thing. Red Dead 2 wasn't really my thing. I can recognize the technical achievements and the great storytelling in those games, but actually playing them moment to moment, they're just not my thing. I'm not a huge, slower paced open world guy. If I play open world games, I want there to be some zestiness to it. That's the second time I've used zest. How many times have you heard the word zest in the last month, and now you come to a Joe from Seattle video and you hear it twice in like a minute? But also, Rockstar doesn't put out a ton of games super frequently because they don't have to. Every game they put out sells a bajillion copies, and they take a really long time with their games, partially because GTA Online is gonna milk them for as long as they ever need to be milked. They could probably milk GTA Online for another 6 years and be fine. But the fact that Rockstar doesn't put out games super frequently has nothing to do with whether or not they are, like, they need to keep up, they need to compete with other open world games. Really, no, they don't. Because no matter how much time passes, Rockstar open world games are always going to be considered like the cutting edge of open world games. And again, despite me not really being a big fan of open world Rockstar games, I can agree with that. The amount of detail they put in their games is insane. Even in the leaked GTA 6 footage, the amount of detail in the NPCs in the world is insane. They're like FromSoft, They don't put out games that often, but when they do, you pay attention.
Right. This is going to be the game where it becomes apparent that the Rockstar formula of simply running around an open field and just shooting everyone in sight and like fighting a bunch of cops is not going to be all that appealing in a world that's experienced Saints Row the Third and Yakuza and Zelda, Skyrim, more technically involved games than simply running around and killing people.
Well, here's the engagement on the tweet where they confirmed a new GTA game is getting a trailer next month. So I think you might be incorrect about that. Also, Skyrim and Saints Row the Third, didn't those games come out before GTA 5? Like isn't the existence of GTA 5 on its own proof that you're wrong about that?
Grand Theft Auto is going to struggle, I think, with the legacy and with the original, right? They are going to struggle a lot with living up to the legend of the earlier games. Like they're not going to be as well received as San Andreas, as 3, as Vice City Stories, as 5.
I feel like you forgot a major one in there. It was 4. He forgot the number 4. And like the thing is, I can almost partially agree just because I think Rockstar in general has been kind of losing track of what made their earlier games so much fun. You know, when it comes to mission design, when it comes to player choice and like the openness of their levels. I think a lot of people agree with me on that, can we say? Like, I don't think it's controversial to say newer Rockstar games have definitely gotten more hand-holdy. But to say that GTA 6 is going to suffer, like to say that, like it's just not true. It's just not. Do you know how much money people make on YouTube just talking about GTA 6 rumors? Do you know how much traffic people just talking about what they think is going to be in GTA? Do you know how much fucking traffic that gets on the internet? You know how much of the internet is currently taken up by people talking about GTA 6? Rockstar is capable of a lot, and this franchise is capable of a lot. That's why people are excited for GTA 6. Whether or not it gets higher scores than the older games, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. It's just too early to tell.
Even like I think when people buy Grand Theft Auto 6, when they play the game, when they go through the missions, when they like see all the stuff that's been stripped away, when they see how politically correct it is, when they see how the game like just isn't all that put together, that it's glitchy, that it's broken, that it's missing features that were from 4, 5, and San Andreas, when they experience this game, when they see its asinine plot, when they get to experience this thing, like there's going to be this overwhelming consensus among a lot of people, especially people who played older Grand Theft Auto games. Wow, I am not having fun with this.
Well, I mean, I already know that's going to be the consensus from you because you've already decided it will be. You've already decided that all of these things that are completely unconfirmed are going to be there. You've already decided it's going to be underwhelming. It's going to be politically correct. It's going to be missing features. It's going to be all this, and that. Yeah, the consensus among people like you are going to be what you say they're going to be because people like you have already decided what the game is going to be like. You've already decided your opinion on it. And shocker, I know, when you decide your opinion on a game that doesn't even have a fucking trailer yet, you look like a doofus. And now, of course that's going to be your opinion, because if the game comes out and you don't say that's your opinion, you're now a hypocrite. You see how this works? It's very silly what you're doing. It's very goofy. And I have to take a shit, so I'm gonna go take a shit, and then we'll come back to this, all right? Okay, I'm back. Fun fact, I didn't just take a shit. It's the next day right now. I went and took a shit and then just didn't feel like coming back to start the recording again. So here I am, fresh mind, fresh cup of coffee. It's a fresh morning. Oh, golly. Oh, my God. Okay, just keep going.
Like, the game is going to sell. Like, I don't think anybody would deny that. But I do think there is, like, a very clear shift in regards to the way Grand Theft Auto is going to be viewed by the public, because this kind of material of just going around and killing people endlessly, it's simply not new or novel anymore.
So a game where you run around killing people is not novel anymore, so we're not going to be fans of it. Well, Modern Warfare 3, despite being a complete DLC piece of garbage, is still a top-selling game. So, you know, maybe let's be a little realistic about this. Something doesn't have to be new or novel or groundbreaking in order to be successful. If it works, you know? Also, I don't know if you know this, but killing things in a video game is fun. That's why so many games have you do it.
It isn't edgy. And if Rockstar, like, tones that down, they're going to lose a lot of the appeal they had. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is an interesting example because that game technically sold, like, what was it, like 45 million units or something?
Yeah, something like that, technically. Technically, it sold that many.
Like, it's one of the most popular games on PS4 and Xbox Series X, right? You know, Xbox One, right? It was very financially successful, right? But is the game good? No. Like, I played the game. It's linear. It's boring. It's woke. It's, like, anachronistic. It doesn't make any sense. Like,
see, like, why do you always do this? Why do you always come really close to saying something that I can actually agree with and then just flying off the rails? Like, I agree. Red Dead 2 is boring as shit, but the story being told is masterfully crafted, and it's pretty clear that Rockstar is not going to be taking the Red Dead 2 approach to every game. Red Dead 2 was a very I guess compared to other Rockstar games, it was a very unique kind of experience. If you wanted a traditional Rockstar experience, that's not where you go. But if you want what they're selling, which a lot of people did, and it clicked for a whole lot of people, then it was a good product. Also, why do you call literally everything woke? I feel like every single video I watch of yours now, you call the thing woke. And just I'm not seeing it with this one.
The writing is terrible. Like the concept is terrible. Like it's put together so poorly, right?
Red Dead 2 is a painfully meticulously crafted game with a beautiful story and wonderful presentation. The gameplay is not for everyone because of how slow-paced it is and because of how linear and how much Rockstar is trying to hold on to the plot of things. That is not necessarily an objectively bad thing. I also find it painfully ironic that someone that was going up to bat for the last fucking Pokemon game is now saying Red Dead 2, of all things, is poorly made.
Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 is simply just not that engaging of a game, even if the audience doesn't want to admit it.
I always love when people do this. It's like, even if you don't want to admit it, I'm right. It's like, oh, when you put it that way.
And I think with Grand Theft Auto 6, there is going to be this increasing feeling among the community, similar to how like hardcore gamers feel about COD and stuff like that, where it's just the same thing again, but worse, right?
And again, what was it I said yesterday? That you've already made up your mind that it's going to be worse, so of course you're going to think it's going to be worse? We don't know if it's going to be better or worse than GTA 5. I have, after seeing all the leaks and all the leaked gameplay, I have confidence in saying it's going to be more engaging than GTA 5. It'll certainly be more engaging than Red Dead 2. But the game's just not out yet. Like, we don't know. We haven't seen it. We don't even know what the title is at this point.
Like, this isn't new, fresh, or exciting anymore. It's the same thing we've always had. And as a result of that, why exactly would I get excited for it?
Again, this all coming from the guy who praises every single new fucking Pokemon game, including the one that didn't work.
Like, in a lot of ways, I think even now, where I'm at, like, I have never played through Grand Theft Auto 4 or 5. I've never finished either of those games.
Whoa, shocker.
Whenever I want to play a Grand Theft Auto game, I'll go back to San Andreas. I'll go back to Grove Street. I'm hanging out with CJ and the boys, Ryder, Big Smoke. Like those guys, right?
Yeah, and that's totally understandable. The older GTA games have a certain charm to them. For me, my go-to GTA game is 4. I fucking love GTA 4. Jank and all. I fucking love that game. But wouldn't you agree that this franchise that's been around for so long and has some really amazing memories associated with it, basically for every era of gamer, don't you think the next game in that series that's been in development for as long as it has been, isn't that something to be at least raising an eyebrow at? Like, I'm not saying everyone has to be excited for GTA 6. I'm not saying everyone needs to be, chewing their fingernails waiting for it to come out, but like, I think it's safe to say that everyone is at least intrigued to see what it has to offer because it's the next GTA game.
Because those games were better, right? They had a lot more of an edge to them. They were innovative for the time.
Did you just imply newer GTA games don't have an edge to them? Like, were you even paying attention when 4 and 5 came out?
They were put together better than what we got afterward with 4 and 5. They did have more things going for them. There were things about San Andreas that appealed to certain people.
I got bored. I'm making a smoothie.
Now, I don't like the game. I don't think it's that great. I think Grand Theft Auto is one of the most overrated gaming IPs of all time. But, like, when you think about it, right, like, it hasn't... no Grand Theft Auto game has really been able to top San Andreas because San Andreas does...
I might call it here because you're losing me. You're losing... I'm zoning out. Maybe because it's early. Maybe because it's the second time I've tried to record this video, but I'm spacing out on this one. I do think it's interesting that you keep going back to San Andreas. You keep bringing up San Andreas because from my perspective, I keep seeing people, the more time goes on, the more years go by, I feel like people are becoming more and more unforgiving towards San Andreas. The amount of random stuff in that game, random side quests, random mini games, random side missions and whatnot. And that's your own prerogative. San Andreas is not my favorite of the original trilogy. I was never a huge fan of the original trilogy outside of Vice City, but again, 4 for me is like my big 4 is my boo. When it comes to GTA games, 4 is my boo. But, I'm interested to see what 6 has to offer, and since I'm an adult with a brain, I'm not passing judgment on 6 until I see the fucking thing. Because as annoying as Take-Two and Rockstar can be, they at least put a lot of effort into things, Whenever a new Rockstar game comes out, not a re-release, a new Rockstar game, there is an insane amount of effort put into it. And I'm interested to see what they have to offer this time. I think you're kind of a goofus. I think you're a goofus. I think you're a hipster doofus, and I think you're a goofus. Toodles.